I saw the reporting on the vice president not being able to head from Singapore to Vietnam yesterday because of Havana syndrome, or these unexplained sicknesses that are happening. And I thought it was a great opportunity to talk about basically our own intelligence community using Soviet-style subversive techniques on us in the press. And Havana syndrome is a great example of that. It's a great example of how the subversive techniques that they use take the reality of the situation and invert it directly. And it's done so effectively that it's not questioned. Havana syndrome is an excellent example of that. Why do I say that? Well, briefly, about 5 years ago, the State Department, CIA, and other personnel at U.S. embassies in Havana started reporting the symptoms of this sickness. And the symptoms are vibrations, screechy sounds, headaches, nausea, cognitive deficiencies, trouble with seeing, hearing, balancing, etc., etc. Some people even went as far as being diagnosed with traumatic brain injury, like it says. And it was quite the mystery how this could happen to the CIA and State Department officials that were at the U.S. Embassy in Havana. Quite the mystery. At this point, it was a mystery for me as well. I was trying to figure out what's going on in Cuba. The most obvious thing was that it was some sort of frequency attack. Now, that's something that I know. That's something that a lot of the people that watch my channel would have known. But it wasn't exactly common knowledge in the public's psyche that this kind of attack was there. Voice-to-skull technology, etc., etc. It was looking like an emerging technology, which means they're doing the slow drip disclosure. This technology has been here. It's usually what that means. Okay, but then the mystery got deeper. Over the next 5 years, reports of Havana syndrome started pouring in from State Department cables and U.S. embassies all across the world. China, Uzbekistan, Russia, Austria, Germany, the United States. This caused a problem for me because it really attacked home at the idea that the media was presenting caused this. Let's just look at a map of the countries mentioned in this article. Okay, so here's just a visual representation of the countries that were mentioned in this article. There are more countries than these where Havana syndrome has been reported by U.S. personnel. Now, this is the wild thing. Because of the title, Havana syndrome, right, and the connotation that Cuba is part of the old Soviet USSR, and they are still an extension of America's enemy in Russia. So it would have made sense that this maybe technology could have came from Russia and was given to Cuba. Whatever, you could make a lot of determinations from that, right? And it creates a lot of bunny holes and places to get lost off into the weeds. But from the moment they called it Havana syndrome, it took the direction away from the obvious answer to what's going on here. And the obvious answer is that it's something that's going on at U.S. embassies. It's U.S. tech. And it's a very obvious answer. Follow with me now. Instead of Americans making the obvious assumption that some new tech is being utilized by Americans at U.S. embassies, because when I first heard this was happening in Havana, those were the two equal possibilities to me. There was some outside force attacking the embassy, or the embassy was activating some new tech that was making people who didn't know about it sick, right? But when it started popping up in all these countries, in Austria, in China, in Uzbekistan, in the United States, so now we are to believe that there is a new country alliance where China and Uzbekistan and Russia and Austria and German forces have teamed up with secret forces in the United States to attack United States personnel all at once over a 5-year period. This is what they're alluding to, and not what you can go looking through the news articles about Havana syndrome. I recommend that you do. Read as much on it as you can. You will not find one article that suggests that it's United States technology being flipped on and off from the embassies to these countries. You won't find one suggestion of that. And nobody questions the narrative because it's been directly inverted. You hear the story, you read the story, you're like, wow, they're targeting United States people in all these embassies. It's horrible. You never consider the idea that it's directly inverted. That, I don't know, the CIA is using something in these embassies that other embassy personnel don't know about to spy and or attack people in those native countries. Nobody even entertains the thought. No, they think that the new Russo-Austria-Germanic alliance is attacking American citizens all at once in embassies. It's literally insane. The National Academy of the Sciences did a report on this even. An assessment of illness in U.S. government employees and their families at overseas embassies. And they concluded that it was most likely some kind of radio frequency attack or sound attack. Good for them. They came to a conclusion and they said it might be that. They never once addressed where this might be coming from, who might be using it, and if it is indeed foreign tech, why it's being shared among this strange alliance of countries where this information is being reported at. To now include Vietnam, because it's being reported in Vietnam. That's why President Harris is not going there today. So you have the National Academy of Sciences, and they put out a big fancy report, and it says that it's probably radio frequency, but it never talks about where or how much of this technology the United States already has. Yeah, this is a bit like, something like in 1935, a bunch of Americans all across the world coming up with radiation sickness, and us assuming that because we have deep underground military bases in Argentina and in Europe and in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and all the places where these different various parts of the atom bomb were worked on, they all have some kind of united radiation weapon that they're using against military personnel. Or the U.S. military personnel is experimenting on radioactive material at various bases throughout the world. Do you see what I'm getting at here? But that option is never even considered. It's not even allowed to be spoke. So the National Academy of Sciences, makes their report. Then the government goes to action, and it creates all these investigations being done by task force in the CIA and task force in the State Department and task force in the National Security Council, leading to a government-wide probe. And it sounds all so official, and it sounds like, man, they're really getting to the bottom of this. But you have to keep in mind, this news article is written by somebody who works for the CIA, the State Department, or the National Security Council. And these entities, they keep information away from each other. For all we know, the CIA might be in all these embassies trying to downplay this and misdirect people so that they don't find out that it's the CIA using this technology. But the option's never even considered. And it bothers me that we have such a complicit media that this kind of story can exist without anybody questioning, is this because of United States technology? And when you look at this story and you realize that this narrative is being projected about Havana illness, only this narrative, and you look at how the intelligence communities have literally blocked off any other options from even being explored in the free press, quotes, and then you just wonder, every single time you've read an intelligence assessment, or you've heard about 500 former intelligence officers all agree, or the CIA says, or we've investigated ourselves and we've determined, or let's form a commission. How many times were they doing exactly what they're doing about this, where these people conducting these CIA, State Department, and National Security Council investigations are there to do nothing more than throw people off the scent of technologies that the United States of America is most likely using in its embassies in countries across the world for whatever reason, most likely intelligence gathering. And I'm not saying that that's right, but I am saying the fact that that question's not explored in the press, it shows you we don't have a free press. We have a press that is maintained and managed by our intelligence community. And our intelligence community is going to call this Havana syndrome where it first popped up, because they're damn sure not going to call it Redstone Arsenal where it was first created.